Is that belch? Oh, good. That's caught on camera. Okay. Okay. And I used to do something with the chat back when I used to be a streamer on the Twitches and the YouTubes. Let's see what we're going to do here. Okay, I think that's good. I think I'll just go ahead and jump into it. So here we go! It's me, Mario. I'm gonna win. Actually, I think that's Wario, right? Well, hello, and welcome back, friends. I don't remember how to do this. It's been a good 2 months. Oh, wait, I was supposed to post in the channel. We're going to give me a little bit of leeway to get back in the swing of things. I took an intentional vacation from streaming, but then, once you get out of it, with anything in life, it takes months to build a habit or a way of doing things, and then a matter of pretty much days to lose it, potentially forever. So, yeah, well, and there was a bunch of stuff that I couldn't stream or that I didn't feel like was appropriate to stream. And so I didn't, and So let me go ahead and share with my followers here. And I don't see, I used to see the number of watchers, but for some reason now I don't. Is that because I need to make the window smaller? Try to make the window smaller. And then I'm going to post this on Twitter, and then we'll get started. But basically, we have an API that we need to create. We need to create a public API for this thing. And I don't want to expose our previous IDs. For a long time, they were auto-incrementing, and then they became random, but still, I don't like... they're only 32-bit integers for that, so... I don't want that to be part of our public API. Okay. There we go. Okay. Oh, I don't have enough Mountain Dew. There couldn't be enough Mountain Dew for day. If I had a 12-pack, it wouldn't be enough, and it would probably be harmful. But, yeah. All right, so I'm back. Lots of that. Okay. We already have IDs in these database tables. So I'm going to create a field called pub ID. And the idea that I'm going with right now is to rename things again. Because we've had terrible names for things, and then we had slightly better names for things, and we changed the name for things again. So I think we just ought to keep going with that pattern, and so I'm going to change the names of things yet one more time. So account is going to become organization. I think the user stays user. A resource, I don't know what that should be. The feature type, I'm pretty sure should become a... What is that? So a resource is a collection of inputs. It's basically a form. But it's more than that. I mean, resource is kind of the right name for it. It's a thing. It's a thing. That's what it is. It's a thing. So we could call it thing. It's like object and properties. Essentially, the resource is the object. The feature is a property. But a feature type is a property type. So, like date. So input probably isn't the right way to go with it. I'm not sure. If we're going to expose this as an API, would it be better to use code-like language, object and property, or instance, or field set? I think I want to call it field set and field. Field set or group, I don't know. But I didn't quite decide on this yet. Because I could do org, user, set, fields, or we could just do something like that, or we could just do, I'm not sure how many letters to do. And since I'm not sure how many letters to do, you know what I ought not to do? I ought to not set the number of letters. So we can always, if we decide how we're going to do that, we can always change it later. But I kind of just want to go with, do I go 3-letter or do I go 4-letter? Or 1-letter? I think 1-letter or 3-letter. But I just kind of want to have some sort of prefix. Feel like... So the way Stripe does it... Stripe does it like that. They just have the word, and the first 2 letters of the word are the thing. So, org would be this. User would be us. Set. Oh, whoops. Field. Whatever. That's not important. I can renege on that decision later. What is important is that we get all of the right things. And I had some place where I had started to document that, and I gotta figure it. Yeah, 3 letters gives more room. It just feels like org, use, new user, set, field. Is this what I should go with? What do you think, Johnny? By the way, welcome. Nice to have you. I haven't been streaming for a few months now. A couple of months. I was streaming almost every day. And then... yeah. Took a vacation and then had some work that needed to be done off stream and da-da-da. So I'm almost starting back at 0. Okay, so in another screen, I'm going to go try to find... No, that's not where that is. Is ULID? No. ULIDs? No. I'm just trying to search. I know there was some place that I had kind of mapped this out to start just thinking about it. I'm going to check a Slack message. I'm pretty sure I had a place where I'd mapped more of this out. Maybe this is the place where I was mapping it out. I thought that I had a list of the tables that I needed slugs and pub IDs for. Okay, so one thing that we were going to do here is we're going to create all of these fields as nullable. And then we're going to fill them out. But they need, some of these, they need to be unique as well. So it's not, Unique requires an index. That's probably fine. Is it like this? Yeah, I'm in the West Coast. Where are you located, Johnny? I'm in Utah. And something's up with my computer. Let me know if the AV out of sync issue gets too bad. There's probably nothing I'll do about it now, but I'll make it a priority to reboot before I stream again, if it is. It's a little weird for me. I don't know what's going on. When I've got system resource monitor open, and CPU's got plenty of green, not much red. Plenty of black, open nothing. GPU, same thing. Memory, pretty much no memory pressure. Disk and network, meh. I don't know what's going on. No cache pressure. So I have no idea why my system is being wonkadonk, but like I was saying earlier, Apple is really catching up with Microsoft. They're making sure anybody who's reminiscent of the days when you had to reboot your computer once a day, Apple's getting us back there. Just, baby steps. One thing at a time, but they're getting us back there. New York. Cool. I would never want to live in Brooklyn. That sounds rough. I'm a country boy. I like my four-wheelers. Yeah, frame rate got some drop frames. I don't think it's drop frames. I think it's every so often my system's just pausing for no reason. Because I'm experiencing the dropped frames. Personally. Like, my mouse just doesn't move for a second. My keyboard doesn't type for a second. It was happening earlier. It seems like it happens when my computer goes to sleep for more than 24 hours. So if I, over the weekend, or if I am working in the office and not working at home, and I come back more than 24 hours, it's got this jitter. Maybe the next operating system will fix it. But so far, my only report about the new operating system is that for some people it causes them to go into a boot loop. The only person I know of that's upgraded to Sonoma is stuck in a boot loop. So I'm gonna wait on that. And normally I wait, 3-6 months. Brooklyn is less rough. Is the less rough neighbor. Okay, that's good. Well, that's where my favorite plumbers are from. So, it's got to be not too bad of a place. Okay, so all of those need to be unique. And then we're going to do some stuff, and then we're going to alter to make them not nullable. Now, I think what I'd like to do, and I have to check on the documentation for this. So I think I put in the description UUIDs, just because that's what people are familiar with. I'm actually going to use ULIDs. I was thinking about using UUID v7, but I'm just going to go with ULIDs for now. I like the way they look better anyway. More entropy, less space. Okay. So unique, nullable. What was I going to do? So I also drastically changed my schedule since I last streamed. I am primarily going to bed right now, which is I'd never thought in my life that I would be tired at 9 or 10, but I drastically changed my schedule. I'm getting up at 6 every morning now, and that's the first time in my life I've done that consistently for, I don't know, I did that consistently for about 2 years, about 15 years ago. So it's unbelievable. Anyway, so my mental shock is a little bit worse than, or I'm, to me, it feels about like 5 in the morning, according to what it would feel like 2 months ago, the last time I was streaming regularly. Okay, so, oh, I remember I wanted to look up the ULID library because I want to be able to backfill these ULIDs somewhat sensibly. Useful for migrating. There we go. So this is FUD. I don't know how old this repository is. Oh, okay, it is 7 years old, so never mind. But there's this belief that math.random is not cryptographically secure, which is true in like duct tape or something, but it's not true in Node or Bon or Dino or any of the things people are using. No, my Mac is an M2. I have the M2 Studio. Is a public ID kind of a shortened initial for all names in a list? No. So what? So a lot of APIs. Let's go take a look at the Stripe API real quick. So Stripe API. Stripe does credit card payments. It's a terrible user experience, but developers like to use it because they really focused on developer experience and making it easy. PayPal is a really great user experience, but a very terrible developer experience. So, anyway, I just want to take a look at some of their objects real quick. Can we do, yeah, let's take a look at their customer object. Okay, so here you can see this. Oh, and in this one they have actually 3-letter now. So you'll hear about there's SQL, there's graph, there's quote unquote NoSQL, which is a meaningless term because it literally doesn't describe what it is, just describes that it isn't SQL. And since, you know, the databases like the SQL databases have come around to using the NoSQL term to, you know, so they get they get that buzzword too. Anyway, so what you can see here, okay, they just kind of have an arbitrary. They have an arbitrary number. Okay, that's fair. I can deal with that. Yeah, I can deal with that. So they put a prefix on their IDs. So they have these kind of random strings that are their IDs, and these are going to work across multiple systems. They're not these ones. They're not based on time or anything like that. But that does come with some penalty in terms of their sort order in the database, because a lot of the indexes are assuming that a primary key is going to have some sort of incremental nature to it. Anyway, so what Stripe does is for their different object types, they actually make the object type part of the ID of the object. And I think that's good. I like that. So I want to replicate that. And then they have the ID that could exist all on its own is this part that's completely random. We're going to do it a little bit differently. We're going to use sortable IDs, but not auto-incrementing IDs. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I'm seeing the frame that it's not frame drops, it's just pauses for no reason. It's just my screen's pausing. But anyway, when I reboot, it'll be fine. It's something went wrong with an update. Something went wrong with one of the recent OS updates. By recent, I mean within the last 6 months. I didn't have this problem 6 months ago. But I did have this major release of the operating 6 months ago. So, I don't know if that had my... What does this say? Hold on. Yeah, 13 Ventura. I'm pretty sure I had Ventura 6 months ago. Maybe I didn't. I don't know. Anyway, so that's what we're going to do here. And then the slug... Oh, and the reason that's a pub ID is because we have IDs, but we don't want to expose that on our API. And then the slug is going to be kind of similar, but the slug, I don't know why it's called this. We could look it up. But the slug is basically an ID, but it's an ID that represents the name of the thing. So it's for things where the name is never going to change. So, or at least if the name changes, the thing that uses the identifier is going to be good enough. The ID part is random suffix after the classification prefix. Yes, that's correct. And forgive me if I'm not totally up to speed. Oh, what do we have? Is the chat window up? I don't know if the chat has been showing up here. Let me just test real quick, because I wasn't looking at that one. I was looking at another one. Okay, that doesn't look like that's going through. Oh, there it is. Okay, it showed up. Beep. All right. Just wanted to make sure because it's been a while. Anyway, so yeah, we're going to go through each of these. We're going to add the field. We're going to allow the field to be empty, to be null. And then we're going to go through and we're going to change the field to be non-empty. And I think if I come up with a length for these, I'll come up with it later. So I like this direction. So what I wanted to do, and we'll just comment this out for now. Is I wanted to take the user's creation time and use that as part of the ID. So I'm going to get out of this. Oh, Mountain Dew is so good. I probably am actually addicted to it. The sensation that it gives me is one that I don't think a person should be able to get from drinking soda. It is very, very fulfilling. And yet unsatisfying at the same time, because I just permanently want more and more and more of it. I think that might fall in the category of addiction. Okay. So we're going to do await next dot. How do we do this in the other ones? Let me look for a for loop in the migrations. Okay, similar. I think I want to rename this from add to backfill. So we're going to go to the user. Sugar fix on empty stomach. I do not have an empty stomach, so I had a late dinner tonight. which is the reason that I'm streaming late. Well, the reason I had a late dinner is the reason I'm streaming late. Where late is actually my norm, because I used to be a night owl 2 months ago. So, anyway. But I'll be streaming more during the regular work hours, I think, moving forward. Now that I'm back from outer space. Okay, I need to go take a look at the user table. I'm going to go do that in my other screen real quick. And because as this project has grown, there are just so many inconsistencies. So many. And this extends, I mean, it's grown over years. It's gone through different developers, blah, 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 blah. But it's to the extent that we use timestamp versus date stamp differently. Or like a created at in some tables is a timestamp and in other tables is a date time, which the nuances of databases, those are different, it turns out. That was one for my fans. You can rate that on a scale of 7 3/4 and let me know how I did. Okay, describe user. Oh man. Whew. All right, so I'm looking at the table here real quick. I can show this. It's going to be small, sorry. But yeah, our I think in some places of the database this is a date time rather than a timestamp. And in some places of the database, I think it's created on rather than created at or something like that, or just created. Anyway, we want to get the created at. That's what I was after. So we want to select select the ID. We want to select created at. I don't know if there's anything else we really want to select. I suppose just for idempotency, let's select the UUID. We don't need to do any join. I'll probably not have much stamina in me tonight. But yeah, if I do have... for sure. Goodness knows, Mountain Dew is so good. Oh. It truly is the nectar of the gods. Alright, I don't really need to do... that. What? Oh, there we go. Okay, and then I need... what? Ah! No. Update. Okay, let UUID equals. So if row.UUID continue. Just in case, just as kind of a sanity thing, so we don't switch IDs for UUIDs for things that have UUIDs. Although we gotta go insert functionality all over the place so that wherever we create a user, which I think I've got that down to 1 or 2 functions that we create a user now, that, you know, down at the bottom level, there's like a create user raw kind of thing. Anyway, ULID, and then, so in order to get the value of t, first of all, let's see if this is JavaScript-y. Is it seconds or milliseconds? That's what I need to know. Oh, my belt is digging into my stomach. Ah, there we go. Where was that? It was up here, right? Right there. Okay, so first I need to figure out if this is seconds or milliseconds, and that's really easy to do because we can just open up a REPL and then do new date and then give it this, and then that looks like 2016. And if we were to add, you know, if we were to assume that it was seconds and we needed to make it milliseconds, well, that doesn't make any sense right there. And then if we were to assume that it was milliseconds and we needed seconds, then, you know, go in that direction. Anyway, so point is, it takes JavaScript milliseconds. That's what I needed to know. I just needed to confirm that we're taking JavaScript milliseconds. So we're going to do new date on row.createdAt, which you know, it may even come back. Oh man, hold on, that belt's just digging into my stomach and it's annoying. So let me just fix that. There we go. Okay. That's what happens when you get a gut. Belts are killer. Okay, so we're going to do D and then let T equals D dot value of. Okay. There we are. And I'm pretty sure it pulls it out as a string. Select created at from. I'm just going to test this array from user limit 1. Yeah, I don't remember whether this is actually an object or if it's a string. It may be coming out as an object. Either way, calling new date on it, whether it's an object or a string, is going to be fine. So we're just going to leave it there. It makes it slightly slower when you're doing millions of these things. Meh, whatever. Not that worried about it. Okay, that it totally shouldn't be possible for there to be an error here, but we'll go with it. Actually, we won't, because it just should not be possible to have an error. If there is an error, it's of a character. If there is... So we'll go through all the users, and we'll do that. So another funny thing is that, and this is probably telling, is that the keyboard will have quadruple inputs. Like, you may have just seen that it had 4 W's when I only hit W once. So that's part of this whatever's going on that's causing the system to stutter, and I need to reboot it at some point in the near future. Okay, so that's working out. And I can't stay out too late tonight. Oh, this is silly. All right. I think it's going to be a short stream, which is really unfortunate because I need to get my hours in. This week has been a really bad week in that regard. But let's see. So I got that, and then I'm just basically going to do the same thing over and over and over again. Let's see, for all of these things. And I think what I want to call... Oh, wait. Sorry. This was pub ID. Let me go back here. So pub ID. That's what we're calling it. And maybe we have a better name for user. Person, human, actor. I think I'm just going to go with user. It's good enough. Alright, so as I look over these, account and resource I think are going to be the same. And so maybe I could... Oops, this would be Club ID. And there's more than one thing that needed a slug. This is why I'm sad at myself, because I actually did have... I actually did have some documentation for other things that needed public IDs and slugs and stuff. This. Hold on. Let me go make note of that down here. So we'll do org, user, entity, and adder. Retribute, maybe? I think I'm going to have to leave the slug nullable, because there's a variety of things in the system that should never be accessed by the API. They're just used so basically they're internal properties, and so I don't think we actually need a slug for all of the properties, because the internal ones we don't they're not going to be accessed via the API. And there's kind of this category, a whole category of entities in the system that are for example, we have events, system event triggers are considered to be entities with, or resources with features. God, anyway. But I like the idea of entity. That's old school terminology, but I think it's accurate. Anyway, so we'll do this one. I'm going to change that to a log. So I was thinking about doing this in a loop, but then I was thinking, nah, fam. So upset at myself for not knowing where that list is. All right, this is also called created at. Also has ID. I'm gonna just put this whole thing in a scope. So one of the neat things about this, and I've mentioned this before, patron. Oh, patron, that's it. Thanks, that's a good word. The link posted doesn't open for some reason. Creeds of Craftsmanship? Oh, indeed. Oh, I'm so glad that you brought that up. Okay, so this is one of the things that I was looking for. So I shut down one of my servers that I thought that I'd migrated everything off of, and Creeds of Craftsmanship apparently was on there, so I might take a few seconds to see if I can just fix this very quickly. Where would this be? Okay. Redirect location. Interesting. Let me see if I can find that real quick. These two-factor authentications are just, they're getting out of control. I'm logging into where I think I have that domain registered. What? You have no domains? Your mom has no domains. Of course I have domains. What are you talking about? That makes me nervous. I didn't let that one expire, did I? I could have let... That could be the other thing, is that one I might have had in my list of... I don't know whether I'm going to keep using this or not. Okay, that one's expiring. This one... Okay, I think I set up the domain to point to the... I think I set up the new server, and I think I failed to set up the domain to go there. Yes, that appears to be what happened. So, let me fix that real quick. Okay, I will have to keep an eye out for that. Yeah, the whole time that I haven't been streaming, I changed that server sometime in the past 2 months. And I haven't been streaming, and I haven't been referring people to that link. But give it 10 minutes, and it should work now. But it'll take 10 minutes for the DNS caches to clear up. But let me just do a little dig plus trace. Whoops. Creeds of craftsmanship.com. And we should see... Okay. Bad horizontal referral. Too many lookups. I don't know what happened there. That does look scary, though. Okay. Okay, it looks like... I might... I'll have to look into this later. I'm so glad you brought that up, though. Because I migrated a whole bunch of stuff over to my own infrastructure. And it looks like this one just got lost in translation. Whoops. I will do one thing, though. One more thing, and then I'm going to get back to the task at hand, so I'm not wasting time on the clock. Is I just refreshed the web server. No, okay. I will have to look into that later. There could be a variety of reasons that it's not still loading. It hasn't been 10 minutes yet, so I'll just hit refresh on that later. Patron. So patron isn't really the right word for this. This could be an employee. It could be a business owner. It could be an administrator over the account for, I forget what the term is, but basically when you have a business run your business, I can't believe that that's even being outsourced now, but it is. So if your business is focused solely on business processes for your product or service, and employees are not an integral part of that product or service, then, well, no, even if they are an integral part, but you can outsource. You basically hire your employees through a contract firm where they handle all of the hiring and the firing and all of that stuff, and then you have no personal responsibility, which this is, of course, even on the face of it, a terrible idea. You should be personally accountable for people that you hire and fire. That's just ridiculous to outsource that, but it's a thing. So, people come work in your office next to you, but you don't hire or fire them. I just think, there's so many things. It's wrong on so many levels. It's part of the problems we have with society today are due to this sort of thing. Because when you outsource the human nature of it, it's just like, I think there are some legitimate reasons that people would do it, and it has to do with constrained resources and expertise. You have to get expertise in hiring people. It's a difficult thing to do. So if bodies in a chair works for you, I don't know. I don't really understand it. Maybe you still screen the candidates, but the official hiring, you still give them your documents or whatever, but then they're not your, I don't know. Something weird like that. Not a crew staffer. No, they're really your employees. It's not like temping or that sort of thing. It's that the processes that are related to acquiring an employee are being outsourced. So they're not on your payroll per se, but in all other respects, they're your employee. You pay a company to pay them. You pay the company to manage them signing the paperwork and to help with getting the right paperwork, I guess. Okay, what did I do that there? I don't want to do account. I want to do org. That's what I want this to be. And then here, resource, I think I just want this to be ent. Okay. And then with the ones that we need for the slug, did I put the select in here? For some of these, I actually wrote, let me see. What do I have? I have a goal. What is this goal? Successfully test webhook? No, we're not doing that. Not today. Manual deploy, notes, to do. Let's see, what's my to do look like? I'm going to go check my to-do off screen because I'm actually not sure. I'm not 100% sure with this one that it doesn't have some sort of sensitive information in it. No, that to-do's, yeah, that's got nothing in it. It's just nonsense. Notes. Yeah, that's old stuff. All the things, blah, blah, blah. All the things is usually, that's what, yeah, that's just my, that was a temporary file. I'm going to delete that one. Migrations is what we're working on. Yeah, okay. Okay, so none of that, fortunately. Anyway, I will give you the link, the Creeds of Craftsmanship link. It just redirects to this GitHub page right now. But I'll get that fixed. I'll put that on my to-do list. Once you get hired inside an organization, you are just a number inside a database. That's true a lot of times, but there is a reason that smaller companies, like small mid-sized companies, would use one of these agencies. I think it's called professional hiring agency or professional hire. I don't know. There's a word. It's like PAG, professional employer group. I can't remember what it is. But it has some name like professional employment service or something like that. I don't know. But the reason is you either have to take on, when you're a small business owner, small medium-sized business owner, so definitely less than 1,000 employees, for example, say 50 employees, you either have to have someone on hand who is familiar, depending on what your organization does, who's familiar with a lot of the legal issues around employment. It's more important for some businesses than for others. Or you hire that out. And I would imagine that if you're a large company, that you wouldn't use one of these services because you would have someone who's legally aware of these, requirements like, accessibility, diversity, blah, 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 blah. Although I think, if I understand correctly, that all the diversity stuff has rightly been pulled back down as unconstitutional, that you can't discriminate based on immutable characteristics. So okay, so I'm back here. I did not find my deck because I'd gone through and I was actually looking. I remember I was looking at some of these things. Oh, I remember something else I wanted to do. I wanted to see if I have a select in here. Of course I have a select in here. And that's not really helpful, actually. I wanted to look. Was it in bin? Token issue. Yeah. I'd actually selected some of these types to be able to look at which ones I would need slugs for. So it was things like organization name. So one of the types is name, but types are tied to a resource. And so a type, there can be two types of the same name that are associated with different resources. So a good example of that would be name. An organization has a name and an individual has a name. And we could use, instead of user, we could use the IND for individual. And I kind of like that. We might go that route. All right, set room. Yeah, I had a query for this somewhere. But so during the middle of this project, we had to switch gears and focus on something else for a week. And so the notes that I had may just be lost to the sands of time. There's no telling. Oh! Ew. By the way, that link is now working. So it's been longer than 10 minutes. The DNS caches have expired. Everything got updated. Now if you go to creedsofcraftsmanship.com, it is redirecting again on the new server that was properly configured. I'll have to go back through my domains. Some of this management software, just give me a list of all the things. Just let me export a spreadsheet. That's the most important thing that applications that actually care about their users could be doing, is give me a spreadsheet. So let's say that I do this. Let's say I call it ind for individual, org for org. Computer just halts, audio halts, everything halts. I see that there was a huge spike in CPU usage just a few seconds ago because I got my monitor up, but I don't see any particular culprit. Actually, I do see a culprit. That this one looks pretty interesting. Kernel task. That shouldn't be taking a lot of CPU, and yet it is. Very interesting. But yeah, so for a few seconds, every single CPU core was 100% pegged. But no real idea why. Oh well. Okay. So the feature type, that's going to be different. I'm going to have to come up with a list of those and then slugify them on purpose. So I'm going to go take a look at a couple right now. Holy moly, if this is correct, we have 1,500 data types. So this is thing like first name, phone number, old filing date, recipient name. I'm so frustrated that I'm gonna try looking in Slack again, because sometimes I'll just write out a little thing to save for later. Nope. Oh well. All right. Oh, and then there's just weird stuff like 9A. That's probably for a tax form or something. There's more than one of some of these. There's multiple 9As because there's multiple forms that you have to fill out that have a 9A field. So that's pretty interesting. And that would kind of be at the system level. An end user is not going to fill out 9A. But where this comes into play is that the value on a form in field 9A may need to be referenced. So it may be whatever value you filled out in 9A, which it seems like we should have picked maybe a better name for that. But whatever value was in 9A on this other form, if 9A was filled out, pre-populate the data. So I can't believe we've got 1,500 different types of property. And then, yeah, some of these are a little bit weird because we have, for example, address line 1 for an individual, and we also have address line 1 for a company, and those are considered separate types, which seems like that shouldn't be for the purpose of, so, you know, that takes us into metatyping, but for the purpose of validating an address, it doesn't make a difference whether it's a business address or an individual address. But where it becomes an issue is if we are validating, or not valid, if we want to pre-populate a form, we need to show the addresses that are business addresses. So some of that. So they are worker relocation agencies. I don't think they relocate, the thing I was talking about before. I don't think they relocate them. It's just, okay, walk back everything I said, because I think I was rambling and going down a wrong path with the way I was thinking about it. You're going to hire an HR person, or you're going to hire a company that does HR for you. That's what it is. So instead of hiring someone to come in and sit at the desk to manage those processes, you hire a company who sits at their own desk, but the employees you hire through them sit at your desks. They are not contractors or consultants. Okay. I'm responding to a work message that I didn't see earlier. Okay, done with that. By the way, oh yeah, I already solved this problem a long time ago. Forgot. So for the music, you can see what the music is right there. It's all OC remix stuff. Okay, catching up on comments. What's up, Sam? Why not use an external API to do the address validation? So this is what I was talking about there was different I'm talking about the text validation, not the does this exist on a map validation. So different type of validation. What I meant by that. There are 1,500 fields of varying types of zero normalization. I do not envy you. So it's not that there's zero normalization. It's that what this started as and what it has become are different things. It started as WordPress for forms, if that makes any sense. It probably could have been built in WordPress at the beginning. But then it evolved, and it very, very quickly would have outgrown WordPress. So no, from the very beginning, it probably could not have been WordPress, because there's a lot of conditional logic, like what you would see in... Oh, what's the name of that one? One of those survey tools they use for research studies for colleges, Qualtrics. It's got a lot of Qualtrics-like logic to it, but it's based on business tasks, business processes. So it's one of those things where there's a set of trade-offs, and it's not like this was done idiotically. It was done perhaps too quickly in terms of not taking the time to think, what should this be named? But the duplication actually does, where it exists, it is not sorry. I know I'm having such... It's not just deja vu, because it's not like I feel like I did this. I know that I did the same query that I'm doing now. Okay, so what I'm saying is that where the things are duplicate, they're duplicate with reason. Now, sometimes those reasons I would argue against, but there is a reason there. It's not idiocy. There is some ignorance, but not idiocy. And there's always ignorance, because you never know what your product is until you've completed it. And if you're building something that not many other people have built, yeah. Okay, column name and field is ambiguous. Sorry, I'm not showing this on the screen, but... Okay. Feature type, resource ID. Resource type. Oh, dag nabbit. Right, because it's not by resource ID, it's by resource type ID. Hold on. I think I can show the result of this query in a minute. Okay. Anyway, the duplication of the types, and this is something where there's an issue of ignorance in terms of somebody could have given better direction on this if the right person had been available. But there really needed to be a separation between the form system, the form builder system, and the data system, because they are tightly coupled in a way that makes sense if you're thinking of, I'm filling out forms and the data that's being filled out is form data, but doesn't make sense when you realize that the data is its own thing. The form does not have to exist for the data to exist. That's an area where normalization comes into play, because you realize that the 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 form system, what dictates the form builder and how it gathers information, is distinctly different from the information as it exists. And so having some sort of transition from, and we've tried to implement this, it's just hard. And it's one of those things where you have to build out a lot of pieces. You kind of have to get critical mass for it to get rolling. And so we tend to keep using the old system, even though we've tried to implement a system where basically we take data, once it goes through the form builder system, the data goes into a different database that is the clean data, that is the more structured data. But it's just hard. Okay, so that's resource type. So feature type dot name. So I'll show this in just a second. I'm getting, like I was saying earlier, I'm getting way tired. And how do I want to sort this? I probably want to order by feature type dot name. And again, so this also, a lot of the terminology comes from more mathematical set theory than database stuff. So here you can see things like this. So number of employees exists as part of a task. It also exists as part of an individual. It also exists as part of a company. So we have a type that is duplicated 3 different times, but the reason that it's duplicated, it does have a reason, and I can't explain what it is for that thing, because I don't know, because there's 1,500 of these things and I wasn't around for most of them. But task, for example, relates to basically an internal system thing. And the internal system thing should not, data that is of the type number of employees that is part of internal system things should not show up for auto population. So you could say, well, what if you just tag this on the value rather than tag it on the type? And that probably would work. But again, this comes from form builder stuff. So there is not a clear, this is the right way to do it solution. There are trade-offs, and there's a lot of time and history as to why trade-offs were made the way that they were. And, you know, nothing we can do about it now other than just do our best to prepare for the future. So with that said, I am going to go ahead and just save this query for myself for later, because I am going to need to go through here and figure out what the slug should be. Now, the slug will be unique. So we will not have duplicate slugs, but what the slugs are going to look like are things like org dot number of employees. And I have no idea what that goes to. It's probably one of those questionnaire things similar to what is your organization size. Now, why would an individual have number of employees? It could be that when the individual is being mapped, kind of polymorphed over a manager, it could be number of employees that they are managing. So it could be entirely separate. It's hard to say. All right, good night. Thanks for joining in, Johnny. It's good to chat with you. Clearly, they are foreign keys. I did not read that in time to know what part you were talking about. But the slug? The slug will be used by the public API, and we will end up using it as kind of a foreign key. This sounds painfully in need of a total rethink. Yes. Yes. But... okay. What scale of systems have you worked on, Sam? What scale of companies have you worked on? Like where are you at in your career, and what's your exposure to different business life cycles? Because when you're at Google and kind of a team is almost like a business, it's different than when you're in a company that's 20 employees total and the development team employs people or 7 people. But I'm interested to know where you're coming from, because if so far when I have talked about my woes with this project, and I honestly almost quit. I distanced myself from this project because I felt like there was not a way for me, there was not a path for me to deliver success, because there have been so many decisions made over the years that are so foundationally not the direction that the product is now trying to go, that it gave me an intense feeling of inadequacy and just made me very anxious, because I want to be able to deliver results. And this project is one that really puts me in a place where but this little task that I'm working on is actually really good. Little. Okay, anyway, so I don't think I'm actually going to do any of the slugs right now, but I just... oh, there's so many things that need to be done for this. I need to just take a whole day, and I could stream it. Like, what I'm going to do with this, my next set of tasks for this, I think that it's all going to be perfectly fine to stream. But yeah, it's just going to be a bunch of tedious stuff, just going through, adding. I need to backfill these public IDs, and then I need to massage the data that's going out to the API so that it's very, very trim and only includes the information that we must expose to the people using the API. Don't screenshot that face of mine, but we have a field whose name has a space. Now, fortunately, its ID... no, that one's ID is not low. I was going to say its ID is low, but I was looking at the wrong ID. Ooh, that's... I am curious to see... I wonder if I can find out how many instances of usage that has quickly. That scares the bejeebies out of me, that a field name has a space in it. How is that even possible? I don't think that was intentional, but if it was intentional, I certainly would like to know how that came about. Okay, let me try. I'm going to... sorry, I'm working over on the other screen again, just because... I don't know exactly why. I think I can pull this over. I don't think there's anything that's proprietary value. I mean, it's seeing bits and pieces of the... If you had the whole scheme of the database, it would not provide much proprietary value. The proprietary value is in the processes and the partnerships, and it's very much the product is glue. It's not the value, if that makes sense. Anyway, so if I describe... Okay, feature type ID. Okay. So let me go grab that feature type ID real quick. Where's that at? All right, so select count star from feature where feature type, whoops, ID equals. Oh no, feature type. That has a slug. I forget what feature type is. I think it's the meta type. So for example, I think it's the input type. So there's the type of the attribute, and then there's the type that it needs to be for an HTML form. And I think that the feature type is more akin to what it needs to be in the form. Oh, thank goodness. Okay. There's zero of those exist. Okay. Just wanted to know. That makes me feel better. I'm going to copy this over to... All right. And I'm going to get off in 10 minutes regardless, because my brain is basically mush, because, as I was saying earlier, I used to be a night owl 2 months ago, and I haven't been streaming for 2 months, and a lot of life changes have taken place. And now I am... I don't know if I can say I'm a morning person. I think I'm a morning person now. I don't relish getting up in the morning, but anyway. I do understand you've been tasked with something specific, and that is the constraint. I have worked with companies of all sizes, 1 to 500 employees, not Fortune 500 or anything. I would feel anxious about this too, not knowing how the system may be impacting other systems. Field names of spaces sounds like you're in for some fun. Yeah, worked for a company once where a dude was using some code builder, had been there for 25 years, had to work around him. Nightmare. Ooh, yeah, it's not that bad. It's... well, you're probably familiar with the problem that boot camps have created, where, you know, these boot camps pop up. They have an instructor. They have somebody at the beginning who actually is, you know, has experience, knows how to make trade-offs, and then he creates some course material, and then it becomes something that's bigger than himself, that's outside of his wheelhouse. And then at that point, a business buys the bootcamp business and then develops it with a marketing strategy and expands it and scales it and turns it into a money printing machine. And then the original instructors get replaced with graduates, and then the graduates, and so you start to get the noise in the system. You know, you get the copy of the copy of the copy. You're playing a game of telephone with code instruction. Meanwhile, the frameworks, the tools, the environments are all advancing along, and so there's just a lot of noise in the system. And that has in many ways produced this code base. Fortunately, people that were working on it were smart, but they had bad resources given to them by virtue of the weird time that we live in. So it wasn't like the dumb people out of the boot camp. It was smart people out of the boot camp, but not having, before them, not having had someone who was the real deal, so anyway. All right. So I got that. That's, I think I'm at a place where I could probably, let's do get cherry v main. Okay, good. So this one is very, very close to main. I think I'm actually going to go put this in the staging environment and just see it run and then fix it there. Let me just take another look at it, because this is completely additive. It's not going to break anything. And if the migration fails to run because I have some sort of error in here, it's not going to be a big deal. So but if you have some thoughts on what to name, like I already said this earlier, but we have a bunch of different names for things, which makes it really confusing. A lot of overloaded terms, but since we are building out the public API, I'm willing to do it again, because the names that we have don't really make sense. So if you've got some ideas, feel free to let me know. I'll explain this. Individuals. So individuals can be in a lot of different places in the hierarchy. They could be someone at the lowest level. It's just someone who signed a document or was part of a document. Typically they'd have to sign it, though. They could just be listed. They could just be listed as who is the president, but the president doesn't actually need to sign the document. They just need to be listed on the document. So it could be just a human entity on a document. And it could be as much as the person who is managing the account on behalf of the business, or a group that manages multiple accounts for multiple businesses, or a person in that group. So individual, or what we call users, they can scale that whole thing. And so the idea of a user kind of really should be a separate concept. Somebody that has credentialed login to the system versus someone who is part of the system of data. And again, that's part of the thing, is that these boundaries were not well set. So then we have the organizations, which previously was called accounts, but previously user and account, I don't remember if I was part of that process or not. But so then we have the organizations, and then entities are literally records of data. So we could call this entities, we could maybe call it records. I would be happy with either of those. Currently, they're actually called resources, but I don't like that term because I think it's very confusing. I think entity or record would be good. And this is it's largely unstructured data. So it is joined to the type table. And then the thing that we'll have the slugs for are the types, the feature types. And I need to look up feature types. I just get so confused by the terminology. I've been working in the system for a few years, and I still, on a daily basis, get confused by the terminology because it's just so overloaded. And I have a document that maps this out for myself, but I'm not going to bring that up right now. I can refer to when I need to get a handle on it. But then we have basically the fields, or the values. And then, so I'm just going to put this here so I can comment it out and worry about it later. But backfilling, slugs for value types or field types. Whoop. Anyway, let's see. Yeah, so this doesn't use WordPress, but it's just, it is that kind of slushy WordPress-like system of data. And in fact, we refer to it as the slush data. But anyway, if you got good names for that. Vitals. First time on YouTube stream. Kind of lost access to my Twitch account. Okay. Well, Vitals, welcome back. And as you may have noticed, I've been gone forever, but now I'm back. I'm not going to make a promise that I'm going to be streaming regularly again, but that is my hope. I have a lot of life situations. We went on a vacation and then other things. And so originally it was just like, okay, I'm not going to be streaming for 2 weeks. Then other things happened and my life situation has changed a lot. And it will be rare for me to be on this late. I am dead tired right now. Unlike my old self where I was, 5 in the mornings where I'm like, okay, I'm starting to feel it now. Now it's like 9 in the evening. I have done a lot of 180 kind of stuff. Anyway, I'm just going to go ahead and whip commit this. And do we have feature type slugs? Let's see, feature type. Let me double check on this. Describe feature type. And we do not have a slug for that, right? I'm looking at this and the other thing. I'll bring this over so you can see too. So no slug there, but we have a slug in the feature type. But I don't remember what this is about. What was the feature type about? And where's that referenced? Because I don't, hold on, I'll bring this back again. I don't see that referenced. So resource type, feature, so feature type. I think that might refer to, I'm not sure what that refers to. I don't know how these two are different. Question. Yeah, so here you can see how this is overloaded. And then this gets overloaded again because there's the feature type is meant for every possible form. Part of the reason it's duplicated. But then it turns out that in some forms you want to say given names, you want names. So then there ended up being another layer on top of this, which is the custom layer, where the question text. So basically, this is default question text for a form field. Path file name. I think that is. Those are only if they exist. Multi-entry feature. That's your multi-select. Order by is required. Yeah. Okay, so I'm confused about. Is it feature type? I'm gonna go back and look at something else real quick. But I gotta get going. I'm at my pumpkin time. So regardless, I'm just gonna peace out of here in a second. Okay. Yes. So I was correct. Feature type. Even, and this is one of those things where there's not a foreign key relationship here, but there should be, which is why it's confusing when we're looking at the description. Because the description of the other one says, this one says varchar 255, but the other description says varchar 50. But as you can see here, they're not exactly the HTML types. They refer to React component types for inputs, which, don't get me started on that, because HTML actually is pretty decent in most cases. But yeah, this gets layered, the type gets layered into a React component. So that's another thing, is this was very, very married to the front end and trying to sort through it. Okay, but I do want to run this. I want to commit this as a, I'm going to whip it. Before I whip it though, I'm not going to call it add ULIDs. I'm going to call it backfill ULIDs. Oh, I like this one. What's this one? Concedeme un momento. Huh. I don't think I've listened to this one before. That's weird. Oh, not under source control. Fine. And I probably should call it backfill public IDs rather than ULIDs, since they're not specifically ULIDs. Okay. Yeah, life happens. Indeed it does. Now I'm on Twitch and YouTube. Haha! Omnipresent, they call me. I love how you don't give an F about TS and just write good old robust JavaScript. Me too. Me too. Although, in this project, I don't have the luxury of doing the type checking either, because this this has been something else that I've gone home and cried about at night, but just, yeah. It's weird because I think that there was a point at which, no, the project, it was written in BabelScript. So it was written in one of those JavaScript supersets that was defined by Babel plugins that wasn't, you know, actually JavaScript. And then we backported, or one of the projects that I was part of in the beginning was actually getting rid of that because it was so confusing to try to read the error messages when it was 99% the same. There were just certain things that weren't part of JavaScript, and then the whole thing was transpiled and it's running in Node, so that just like there's no reason for this. But we were able to get it into JavaScript from BabelScript. And that wasn't too difficult of a project. There were a couple of things that came up because the way that BabelScript would transpile the requires and imports and stuff, there were some circular dependency issues that arose when it wasn't being transpiled. But you know, relatively minor stuff overall. But I mean, there's hundreds of files here, and when I create new lib files, I do add the JS doc to them, and I try to have them type checked. But especially with objection, the database mapper, it is. I think that the form of TS doc that they use for that is a Turing complete language or something, because it requires runtime knowledge in order to build up types. So I just, that one, every single time we do a call to the database in any of the library, I just have to TS ignore it, because, yeah. Anyway, so I pushed that over, and I'm just going to check and see, let's see, did that go? No, oh, no, I didn't actually. Okay, so I need to do, whoops, not checkout. Switch, get switch staging. Oh, whoa, did I not actually do the whip? Oh, I didn't do the whip because, yes. Okay, so feet ULIDs. All right, ULID, no, okay. Let me just make sure. I don't think anything's been committed to main since. No, it hasn't. So, also, I have a confession to make, as you can kind of tell from this. I found the first use case of GPT, and we'll actually be using GPT in the product. And by that, I don't mean that I found the first ever use case for it, but I found the first time where I could confidently say, this does better than any, the core thing that you need is that this does something better along a particular metric than any other alternative. And that is extracting data from arbitrary documents, saying, essentially, who's the author of this, who's the signer of this, and what are some specific details for this type of document. So I think that we'll be able to get to the level in the future. Well, right now it's very, very, very exact and concrete things, like what's the signer's email address, what's the board member, that kind of stuff. Very, very specific things, and is doing an excellent job. And using a role play model, I can get it to pretend to be a computer system that only answers responses in JSON without commentary. And so that turns out to be extremely useful. Okay, so we're going to switch back to staging. And then this is I should probably do a pull force on this. Oh, that worked. Oh, surprising. All right. Main. Oh, kind of surprised that staging had not been rebased from there lately. Okay, in the UUIDs. Okay, so I'm gonna force push over staging environment, and then in about 20 seconds or so, I should be able to watch the logs. I'm not going to show those logs on the screen, but I should be able to watch the logs and see that the migration takes place. Okay, let me check this out. Yeah, GPT, OpenAI, the GPT model. So GPT is the model. OpenAI is the Microsoft subdivision. Then they have an API, and the API is SOC 2 compliant. So if you use the chat feature on the web page, all of your data is collected, stored, analyzed, etc. So if you were to put in a credit card number or a social security number or whatever, that could actually pop out in someone else's, if somebody else asks a question that where it deems, for whatever reason, it's statistically relevant to include your social security number, that could pop out. So you have to be very, very careful. You should never use the free version with sensitive information. But once you get a business account, you can use the API and you can submit documents that have social security numbers. And as long as in your own terms of service, you're clear that you do use processing providers that have temporary access to data, yada, yada, but they are also certified at the same level of certification that you're certified, whatever, compliant, same level of compliance, then you're good to go. So we can use it for sensitive data to extract things like social security numbers and whatnot. I want to be like you when I grow up, oh man, that warms the cockles of my heart. Just 23-year-old dev in Mexico with a year and a half experience, grinding my way up to knowledge this beautiful world of IT, listening to you and other senior dev pro streams. I absorb so much. That's great. That's great. Okay, so I am checking out over here. What am I seeing? I did not see what I was expecting to see. Let me take a look at. Here. Yeah, it's goofing up on me. Okay, so that did not make it through. But I think the reason it didn't make it through, I'm just going to do this. Touch junk. Sometimes, and I have not figured out the reason, but sometimes when the build server has not run in a while, which it's been several hours since it's run anything, it'll fail it'll fail when it's cold. And then once it's warm, it's failed, run it again, it'll work. And I don't know what that is, but I think it's just related to network level stuff, honestly. I think it's DNS caches and... Okay. What? Oh, no, I know what this one is. Okay, so what I did... I have to go re-enable some permissions. I changed the name of a thing. And as it was supposed to... Now, because the name doesn't match, the build server is refusing to build, which this makes perfect sense. Let me go tell the build server, no, you are allowed to build for the other name. Oh, where did I put that? In some ways, it's too bad that either I wasn't aware of GitHub Actions or it wasn't public yet at the time that we put this together. Okay, I'm looking in a directory. Let's see, DB. Oh, there it is. Serve. Okay. Where did I put... Oh, there's an env file. Hold on. I think this is it. Whoop. That's good that the security system still works. All right, now I'm going to do this again. So that was not the problem. Yeah, so I renamed one of our repos, and so well, I moved it to a different organization because we're going to start to have some public repos to attract some developer community. Anyway, in that process, I forgot to update the build system to allow it to run for that organization. Okay, and also, let's see, I'm going to have to open up the git config. I have to change the git config. That makes sense. Okay. And I still may need to change the organization name again. We're going to run this one more time. It's past my pumpkin time. Okay. Hmm. Yeah, the cold start problem is not cold start as in the VM is cold. It's cold as in it's been sitting there and caches of information, network information. I think it's just DNS queries are failing. And that doesn't make sense other than that the error is could not look up host X, and then when it runs the next time, it can. It doesn't make any sense to me, but it probably has something to do with, VPNs being on a similar network as this thing. I don't know. Touch junk. Yeah. Pumpkin time is when you turn into a pumpkin. So it's from the story of Cinderella. So Cinderella's carriage turns into a pumpkin at midnight, and then she can't get home. And so pumpkin time is a fairly common expression in America. I've heard lots of people use it in different parts of the country, but it basically just means a time when the magic ends. So pumpkin time, like the time when your brain shuts off. Because in Cinderella, when the magic ends, her carriage turns back into a pumpkin. All right, let me see if this worked this time. All right, it looks like it might have run. It looks like it's still running. Okay, good. This looks like it's running. It looks like it's waiting. Okay, we see backfilling uncaught error. Backfilling UUIDs for individuals. Okay, cool. So it looks like it failed, but I'll see why it failed momentarily. So let's go over here, and we should be able to do npx connects migrate up. And if it... Okay, already up to date. So let's do down. And then let's do up, and we should see... Okay. Alright, so... Yeah, something didn't go quite right. So I do want to check this out. Let's see if I can figure this out. User, account, resource, feature type. Okay. And then down here, user, account, resource. Ah, we don't have the down. Got it. Ah! What was that? Ah, everything's going punky. Yeah, definitely have to reboot my Mac. What is going on? Do you see this? Do you see this thing hop, skipping, jumping around? Okay, stop. I'm not doing rocket science here. Come on. Oh, that's right. Okay, now... I'm going to need to copy that over so that I don't forget about it. And then I'm going to need to... Let me actually go into the database here. And I'm just going to run alter table user drop column pub ID. And then we do the same for count and resource and feature type, but dropping slug instead. Where did I put this information? I went through the API. Maybe it's on the computer that's in the office. Maybe I took the notes on the computer that's in the office and I forgot to put them up somewhere. Okay. Anyway, let's try running this again. Oops. We're just going to run up and down. Up. Seems like that'll take a minute. Because there might be definitely thousands upon thousands. Oh, not as many as I thought. That doesn't... I'm not sure if that is real. Okay, so we can do down to drop it, and then up. Have it go again. And I'll actually be interested to see what these look like. Select pub ID created at from user. Okay. Order by pub ID. I'm going to show you this. This should. This is. Oh, duh. This is not production. That's why it was so fast. All right. So what we should see is we should see the pub ID incrementing alongside the created at, and that looks to be what we're seeing. It looks like the test would be all of these are in order, and it appears that all of these are in order. Now, one thing that I wanted to do as well is lowercase this, because I don't like the look of that being all uppercase. So what I'm going to do also in this is say pub ID equals lowercase. I'm just going to push that up. Okay, so we did a migrate up, we did a migrate down, we did migrate down, and then migrate up again, and that's going to be good enough for me. I'm actually going to migrate it down one more time and then just push these changes. Git switch staging, git rebase feed UUIDs. Git pull. Well, nobody else is making changes right now, but just as a matter of course. Okay. Okay, so I should be able to run down. Okay, and then That'll run on its own and it'll come back up. Everything will be good. Hey, Wucha, long time no see. Long time no see. Indeed. Yeah, and I'm actually getting off. So I have become an early bird. Well, a lot of things have happened. But the jitteriness of the stream is something that I just need to reboot my computer because quality of Apple products is going down the toilet quickly, and now we've reached the stage where Apple computers, just like Windows computers of old back in the 90s, need to be rebooted every day. And mine has not been rebooted, and so it's just got weird funkiness that's coming out of nowhere. Yeah, stream is lagging. Yeah, that's what I was talking about, the funkiness. Anyway, so I gotta go because it's past my pumpkin time. And I need to get to bed. But decent progress. I need to look through. I have to create the API endpoints that will reference these. Yeah, I think I can kind of take this, and from here I can go create the new endpoints that expose the small set of data. Where did I put this? I mean, it's like I remember quite vividly last week I went kind of point by point looking at now I know where I put it. It was in the documentation repository. That's where it is. Okay, let me go to the documentation repository. Where is docs? Okay. And then I don't have it in issues or in pull requests? What? Did I literally put it in the documentation? I may have literally put my notes in the documentation, and I had a to-do section in the documentation because I'm cool like that. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, this is not right. Oh, crap. Someone overwrote my copy of the documentation with their copy of the documentation. Oh. Oh, okay. Now I see what's going on. But where did my to-do go? Okay, okay. Here I have a list of feature types. Now, is this resource types or feature types? Anyway, I have a list of types that need a slug. And then somewhere in here, whatever. Okay, it's late. Well, late. For new AJ, it's late for new AJ. I'm going to go get to Betty Bye. All right, so if I run this, though, this should have already run. It's already up to date. Good. Okay, so good progress for the night. Where's my cheering sounds? All right. Good night. Good night. Good night. It's good to see y'all again. It's been a long time. I'm happy to see y'all are still around. And yeah, I'll catch you later. Juice. So here's the thing. I actually don't remember where the button to end my stream is. It's been that long. Been about 2 months. I think it's this one right here.